Okay, so now we're going to look at Holy Sabbath, right? What makes a Sabbath, right? Now we're going to read the book of Genesis chapter 2. Let's start at verse 1. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. Now this is where the idea of Sabbath came from, right? So the Most High rested on the seventh day. However, what makes the seventh day the seventh day? What makes it the Sabbath? What are you resting, or what are you ceasing from? You're ceasing from 6 days of work. So we're understanding that with the Sabbath, it has to be 6 work days then rest, right? So for example, here we cannot say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then you rest here. No, it has to be 6 days of work, then you rest. 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 So each month or each moon carries 4 sets of 6 working days and 1 Sabbath, 1 rest day, along with a new moon day, right? So we know the beginning of the month because of this. We see the same covenant every time. Then we know that, okay, we're at a new month, a new week, a new day. Here, after we recognize this day, which is a worship day, which I'll get into another time because we're not dealing with new moon now, we're dealing with Holy Sabbath. 6 work days, and then you rest. Let us go to the book of Leviticus. The book of Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 3. Let's start at verse 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest. So when we're dealing with these days, what are we dealing with? We are dealing with the days of the Most High. These belong to the Most High. These are fixed. It never changes, right? And what happens with this society is we confuse what is being fixed from what is changed. So we can say, okay, for people who use this Roman calendar, they can do something every Saturday and think that is fixed. But what do you use to mark that the day you call Saturday is the same one every time? How we know that the day we call the 7th day is the 7th day is because whatever moon you see to identify your new moon day, 29 or 30 days after that, you will see the same sign to let you know that, okay, it's that same day 1 month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months. It never changes. But when you use this Western society, the calendar of it, you really think that you have one same day all along. What do you use to say Saturday is Saturday? If you go to, what's this place, Samoa Islands, the day that they are celebrating now for their Sabbath, a few years ago, I think it changed in 2011, right? So the day that they knew for generations as Sunday now becomes their Sabbath. Okay? Now, so what we're understanding with the Most High, it has to be 6 days of work, and then resting comes on the seventh. So this is what makes it what it is. This is the book of Exodus chapter 20 and verse 8. It says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Now he's going to tell us again. 6 days shalt thou labor, and on the seventh day, 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God, the Sabbath of the Most High. Right? In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. So, now we're seeing something else with the Sabbath. It's not only you that do not work on the Sabbath, but guess what? None among your household. No, you have to command your house. So this did not say that you should do this with a holy convocation. It only says that you gather together, you eat, and you recite what you need to recite. It never made mention about these things, these judgments. Verse 11 says, for in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Okay. So again, it's telling you that he worked 6 days, and he rested. So we're always going to see this every time a Sabbath is mentioned. It always follow 6 working days. Now it says, wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Right? It's the same as he said in Genesis chapter 2. He said he sanctified the seventh day. He set apart. He made it holy. Kadash. How do you tell one day apart from the others? If you should physically go outside on any day, any given day, how can you tell what day of the week it is if you don't have something that is a covenant of that particular day? For example, what if you crash land on an island, knocked out for a couple of days? No, you have no phones, no internet, no Google, nothing, and you come back, right? You come back to consciousness. How would you know what day is your Sabbath when you lost total track of time? What would you use to keep that Sabbath? So we see that the Most High sanctified this day. It is set apart. Right? So we're getting all the different attributes of the Sabbath, or what makes it what it is, or the essence of it. Right? This is the book of Exodus chapter 31 and verse 13. It says, speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep. Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Lord that doth sanctify you. Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death, for whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. And we saw where the man was picking up sticks on the Sabbath day. And the judgment, so we're seeing that the judgment for the Sabbath is different from that holy convocation, right? Because this judgment does not apply to the holy convocation at the last day of the Passover. So another thing is the judgment. The judgment is that you shall be cut off, right? The next thing we can say that it is a sign. A sign is something that is either audible or visible. You can hear it or you can see it, right? So what is that sign? Just like he gave a sign with the bows in the cloud to remind us that, hey, he's not going to flood us, he's not going to destroy us by that flood again. We can look at the rainbow for the covenant to be reminded of his word. So when he says about his Sabbath, what is the sign or the covenant that reminds us that today we should rest? A person getting up out of coma today, wake up to consciousness and wants to keep the Sabbath. This is Exodus 35 and verse 2. It says, 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day there shall be to you an holy day, a Sabbath of rest to the Lord. So we are not resting to ourselves, we are resting to him. Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death. Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day. So here we're seeing one more. Kindle no fire. So let's go to the book of Exodus chapter 16. And verse 23, it says, And he said unto them, that this is that which the Lord hath said, tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto the Lord. Bake that which ye will bake today, and sieve that ye will sieve, and that which remaineth over lay up for you to be kept until the morning. So, you prepare meal for 2 days. So Sabbath comes with a preparation day, right? 6 work days. The 6th day will be preparation day. You cook 2 portions, or you prepare 2 portions, so you don't have to cook on this day. New moon, you do not have 6 work days or any form of days before it. There's no preparation day for new moon. This is why you are permitted to cook on new moon days. Alright, but again, we're not dealing with new moon, or we're dealing with the Sabbath. So we're seeing that you prepare a meal for 2 days, right? From the day of preparation. And this deals with what it says, don't kindle any fire, because sometimes we don't understand the message within the message. So yes, but then they would have wood fire, literal fire. But a lot of people today will try to use the microwave or the stove to say, oh, it's just pressing a button, or just, but you're not gathering woods and working. No. That's not what this is about. This is about consuming hot foods, because what makes you different from all the other nations around them? How do you think when the Romans were coming, they could tell who and who were the Israelites? Because of the customs that we were keeping. This is why we were always set apart. So even if you go in the land of the enemy, guess what? People can know that, okay, those people are different because of the customs that we keep. That our light is always shining in the midst of darkness. The way we dress, this is why we wear fringes, this is why we do this, this is why we don't do that. You are set apart. You are distinctive, just like the seventh day. Every day looks physically the same, but there's one day that is distinctive, right? Just like everything looks similar with people, but the one thing that is distinctive is the print. Or with the car, you might have the same type of car, but what is distinctive is the number on it, the serial, the chassis, whatever it is, license. They are distinctive. That's how you tell them apart. But everything else has the same feature, right? Oh, let us go to the book of Nehemiah, chapter 10, and verse 31. It says, "And if the people of the land bring ware or any victuals on the Sabbath day to sell, that we would not buy it of them on the Sabbath day or on the holy day, and that we would leave the seventh year and the exaction of every day." So what we're seeing is that on the Sabbath day, no buying and selling, no transaction. And as you know, the priests, they can travel on certain days like new moon days, but on the Sabbath they remain inside, right? There are different laws for the priests, but I'm just making a distinction that these things, these are what we use to know a Sabbath apart from the other days, right? So you can, on the 21st day of the first month is a holy convocation, but these do not apply, because you will not find 6 working days and then the last day of your feast of unleavened bread. It did not say that you cannot buy on that day. You do not get 2 days to prepare a meal. So if this holy convocation of the unleavened bread is a holy Sabbath, guess what? What comes before a Sabbath? A day of preparation. So you would not be cooking on this day, but this day before would have been a Sabbath. But there's nowhere in the Bible that tells us that the 6th day of the unleavened bread is a day of preparation. In each month, there's always a day of preparation before each Sabbath. And this is why we know it apart from all the other days. The things that we're commanded to do, the things we're commanded not to do, and the judgments that come if we go against it. Right? So what we need to ask ourselves now is that so what we need to ask ourselves is that, are all Sabbaths holy convocations? The answer is yes. The question is now, are all holy convocations Sabbath? For example, the 6th day of the days of unleavened bread. The 7th day of the days of unleavened bread. Is it a Sabbath? No. How do you know? It doesn't come with a preparation day. It did not tell you that you cannot do transaction on that day. It did not tell you that you cannot kindle any fire. The Most High did not say he set it apart. The Most High did not tell you to command your house that they should not do any work. The strangers, the families, the animals, right? It did not give you 6 work days and then 1 day of rest. So this is not qualified to be a holy Sabbath. However, we see that all the holy Sabbaths are holy convocations, whether they be weekly Sabbaths or just a high Sabbath, like the Day of Atonement. It doesn't fall on a weekly Sabbath, but it's still a holy convocation. So this is to give a clear distinction between holy convocation and holy Sabbath, that they are not the same things. They are distinctive. Shalom.